Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live session from Dhaka Global Dialogue. And the topic of this session is e-commerce, from bricks to clicks. My name is Shimelse Mekonnen. I also go by Shim. I'm the co-founder of an e-commerce company based in the US called Meshcart, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. The world of e-commerce is undergoing a big change. In 2019, global e-commerce sales reached about $3.5 trillion, which is roughly equivalent to the combined size of Brazil's and Russia's economy. And global e-commerce sales accounted for 14% of total retail sales in the world. And this share is expected to reach 22% in 23. Of course, technological innovation is playing a major role, but it's not the only factor. There are other trends and factors that are contributing to the rise of e-commerce. In today's live session, we'll be examining these trends that are shaping the e-commerce landscape. And to provide insights on this topic and address other related questions, I'm joined by two speakers. To my right, we have Sparky Pererras, who is the CEO of PearlPay. It's a company that's based in the Philippines that's providing payment solutions to rural banks. And to my left, we have Asif Zahir. He's the founder of Sindabad.com. His business is a B2B or business-to-business e-commerce company. So let's just dive into the questions. And the first topic that I would like to address in this session is trends in the e-commerce industry. Sparky, what are the most significant trends that you see in Philippines or in Asia that you think are impacting e-commerce?
Okay, so, well, the e-commerce in the Philippines, okay, I just learned earlier, just to compare with the Bangladesh market, Bangladesh has about 90 million internet users, right? In the Philippines, we have about 70 million internet users. And as a business owner, for example, you want to tap those consumers, right, who are online, right? So now, in terms of the trend, okay, basically it's already given that majority of the businesses would like to tap those internet users through e-commerce platform. Now, the emerging trends now, especially in the Philippines, is that what happens to the physical malls, right? The physical that still sell, shoes, garments, clothes, right? That can be easily, do it online. Okay. So now, based on my last roundtable discussion with one of the top executives of one of the biggest conglomerates in the Philippines, is that they are now transforming their malls, right, in terms of spa, wellness, something that you won't be able to avail online. Okay, so food park, for example. So now a lot of clothing stores are now trying to reduce their number of branches and try to increase the sales in terms of their online channels. So I think that's the kind of trend that will be continue to see, not just in the Philippines but even in Bangladesh, especially with the number of internet users are continuously accelerating.
Great. Asif, would you like to add a few words on trends that are going on in Bangladesh that are shaping the e-commerce industry?
Yeah, definitely. I think e-commerce obviously has been around for a long time in the West, especially in the US and European countries. So what we see in Asia is obviously it's kind of a newer phenomenon. And you mentioned all those internet users that are coming online maybe for the first time, or getting smartphones for the first time. So I think it's kind of how's that experience for them. And in Asia, I think it's still underdeveloped. We hardly have a few nationwide platforms on e-commerce on the B2C side. And these are kind of still quite new, established in Bangladesh at least for the last 4 or 5 years. And so I think the expectations for customers are still adjusting in terms of when they can expect to receive the goods, especially if you're outside the major cities. What happens when if there's a problem with the order and needs to be returned or exchanged. And so these things are still kind of a work in progress. Customers are still quite hesitant to pay up front with their credit card or advance payments, or they want cash on delivery, and things like that add additional kind of logistical issues for the e-commerce providers. So I think it's still an evolving landscape, but definitely the trend is to kind of take on a larger part of the retail sales. So that's happening. At the same time, we see kind of uptake in certain categories. Categories such as electronics and accessories probably are easy to sell online. If you're buying a certain model for a smartphone, okay, you just order it and it shows up and you're happy with it. It's obviously much more difficult with, say, groceries or with fashion items. So I think there's also a lot of work that needs to be done to kind of figure out how to get those products to the customers in a country like Bangladesh or other Asian countries, with all the challenges that remain. So I think it's an interesting space, but definitely evolving very fast.
Great. Those are interesting trends to learn. The trend in the US is a little different. I'll just want to add just 2 points. One trend that I noticed in the US e-commerce space is the use of voice-enabled devices to make orders. For example, Amazon has the Amazon Echo, and Google has the Google Home devices, and then you can order your products right from those devices. And last week I saw a figure that says that e-commerce orders from those voice-enabled devices is estimated to reach $40 billion. So that's one trend that's shaping the e-commerce industry. And another trend is social shopping. Now a lot of people can complete their shopping without leaving Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So wonderful. The next topic that I would like to address is international edition of e-commerce. And then I would like to address this question to Asif. As you may know, the center of e-commerce is shifting from US and Europe towards other countries. And this is especially true with the rise of Alibaba. So how are businesses in Bangladesh adapting to this trend? And do you see businesses benefiting from the rise of international edition of e-commerce, or the rise of trade that's happening between countries on the e-commerce space?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Bangladesh has a thriving manufacturing sector. And as you may know, we have a big apparel manufacturing industry. So we have a lot of factories that are actually producing quality apparel for a lot of the foreign brands. We also have other companies that are manufacturing electronics and and so on, consumer products. So what's happening is for a lot of these companies, actually, e-commerce is providing a new channel, and some of these companies are actually kind of tying up with Amazon or other kind of Western e-commerce platforms to sell products directly, which is quite interesting because that allows them to kind of cut out the wholesaler or the importer or the physical retailer, if you will, and kind of either sell their brands with their own brand, or their products with their own brand, or maybe tie up with Amazon or the other players with kind of one of their private label brands. So that's a new trend that we're seeing, which is quite interesting, and it's a big opportunity for manufacturers here in Bangladesh. And interestingly, the reverse is also happening, where a lot of consumers, especially in the urban areas, they want a lot of products which are not available in Bangladesh. Even whether it's physical or the e-commerce platforms that are already established in Bangladesh don't have everything. And so there's actually a lot of niche e-commerce sites where you can order products from the US Amazon side or the European sites, or even from China, AliExpress. And so that gets shipped directly. It takes a little longer. But that just kind of shows that there are opportunities outside the traditional kind of e-commerce model.
Interesting. I would like to touch upon a little bit on the B2B side of e-commerce. Asif's company focuses on business-to-business e-commerce transaction. How do you see e-commerce helping business-to-business transaction? And especially, I'm interested to learn more about the impact of this business-to-business e-commerce on jobs creation for the youth, on alleviating poverty.
I think that's a great question. Actually, so we started Sindabad.com as a B2B e-commerce marketplace here in Bangladesh. So, what we saw as the future of e-commerce is that, yes, in B2C, you have some of these very large platforms that's driven by Amazon and Alibaba and people like that, that are virtually now in every country, in Asia, India, and so on. And so that's kind of driving e-commerce at a very high level. But there's also a lot of space for niche players, for people who kind of know their customers well or have a certain product area that they're specializing in. And so that's an area we thought we could kind of specialize. So we picked B2B because, again, for us, what we saw in Bangladesh is for any corporate customers or small and medium businesses, procurement is a big headache. So no matter if you're a multinational or you're a small shop owner, just procuring goods is kind of, again, it's a big hassle. You need to have a team for, kind of going to the market every day and procuring those goods. The prices fluctuate daily. There's lack of transparency and kind of trust in the system. Am I getting good quality products and so on? So we saw that there was a big opportunity there. And so we started Sindabad about 3.5 years back. Okay. And initially the focus was on industrial products. So these are kind of things which you probably wouldn't see on a B2C platform. So there was also product specialization aspect of it. And then we've also moved on to office supplies and kind of pantry and grocery items. And so we've been expanding the product categories as well. And I think one of the great opportunities in the B2B space, to mention your question about job employment. So in Bangladesh and maybe other Asian countries, we have a lot of small shop owners. So today, Sindabad is actually working with over 9,000 small shop owners. There are customers actually here in Dhaka.
That's amazing. And
the market is much bigger. There's almost 1 million shops or, small businesses, if you will, in Bangladesh, even outside Dhaka. So, so that creates a lot of employment, right? There's a lot of economic activity that's happening. In fact, that's probably the biggest economic sector, which is the retail sector. And in countries like Bangladesh, you don't really have the big supermarkets that's taking up. You have a few in the cities, and the largest chain in Bangladesh is probably about 15 stores or 20 stores. So that's it. So by and large, the economic activity happens in these small shops, the corner shops we call them. And if you look at the future of what's going to happen, do you see a future where they're all going to shut down?
If possible, I would like to come back to that
Sure.
A little more if we have time,
Okay.
because I want to make sure that we address the payment issue before
Of course.
we end the session. So, Sparky, another thing that I see in the e-commerce trend is the rise of new payment methods. It's maybe digitalized payments or cryptocurrency. How's your company contributing to addressing payment issues, especially in the Philippines, related with e-commerce?
Okay, so in the context of e-commerce, Philippines, according to the BTCA or the Better Than Cash Alliance, 99% of payment transactions in the Philippines are done through cash and check. Only 1% are being done through electronic payment. What does it mean in the e-commerce? It means that 90% of the e-commerce transaction are basically cash on delivery, and which is one of the biggest challenges of the e-commerce players, right? Because of pilferage, logistics nightmare, to collect payments, right? And there's a cost of money. Because for a particular e-commerce, one of the top 2 e-commerce in the Philippines, they have a money float of 1 week, just to wait for the remittance of the collection of payments from their logistics partners. So for us, basically the way we help the government to increase the digital payments, right, is that we tap the existing infrastructure. So we are a B2B company. We focuses on the rural banks. Okay, the landscape of the Philippines, there are a total of 577 unique banks. Okay, 450 are rural banks, but only 6%, okay, of those rural banks has access to electronic banking. The average cost to have one is about 4 million US dollars. So for us, we are able to bring down the cost starts at 99 US dollars per month. So we hosted our applications in the cloud. We partner with the AWS. So from core banking to bank switch to e-wallet as a white label solution, we offer it to our rural banks. So, and they're in the best position as a purveyor of this kind of technology because for a Philippine with 7,000 plus islands, it's geographically challenged, right? So we tap the existing infrastructure, physical, and as well as the trust in nature because we're dealing with money, so trust is a global currency.
Wonderful. Amazing. Do we have time or? Yeah, I think, in the brief time that we had for this session, both speakers did a great job helping us understand trends that are going on in Bangladesh, in the B2B space, and also in Philippines in terms of addressing the payment issues and also new trends that are going on. I think we can say that the future is clear for e-commerce. E-commerce is in a very expanding world, and with the rise of new technologies, with the rise of new payments, with the rise of B2B business, I believe that the future of e-commerce is as more vibrant as ever. So I would like to thank our speakers, Mr. Asif and also Mr. Sparky, who are here to share with us insights on the rise of e-commerce. And also I'd like to thank our online audience for tuning in to watch this live session. And thank you also to the organizers, the Dhaka Global Dialogue. Thank you very much.